Hey everybody, this is Justin Guzzi, Senior Cloud Solutions Architect at Eagle Dream Technologies. If you want to find out why millions of companies across the world trust the AWS cloud to power their businesses every day, make sure you tune into my Tech Talk. You're not going to want to miss this. Hey everybody, this is Justin Guzzi, Senior Cloud Solutions Architect at Eagle Dream Technologies. And today, I'm going to be talking to you about AWS basics and best practices as it relates to your journey to the cloud. Here's a brief overview of topics I'll be hitting on today in this talk. So this includes things like core benefits of AWS, the AWS Global Network, foundational account structures, security, and migration planning. So what is AWS? AWS is the largest public cloud provider in the world today. They power millions of businesses across the world, from very small startups to very well-established large enterprise businesses. And I think the most important thing to understand with AWS is that anybody can realize some of these benefits right out of the gate. So for example, I think one of the most important benefits is the fact that anybody that uses AWS does not need to provision any infrastructure, no hardware to provision. So you can get started spinning up systems, building applications immediately in the cloud, and not have to worry about anything around provisioning hardware, storage, power, cooling. These are things that AWS takes care of for you, so you don't have to worry about it. And this means that you can spin up as many systems as you need when you need them. So you can spin up a few, you can spin up many. You can have your applications automatically scale. So AWS provides that elasticity and scalability in the cloud. This also means that businesses that use AWS can benefit from increased agility. So they can experiment with little or no risk to their existing environments, build a minimally viable product. And when they're all done with that, and they're all done testing, they can tear that down and they won't incur any charges for that. So it's a pay-as-you-go model. You're only charged for what you use. And one of the most important things that AWS provides as part of this environment and this infrastructure is underlying security of their physical data centers and their physical infrastructure. So AWS hardens their infrastructure with industry-leading hardening methods and security guidelines, which means that if you are going to run very sensitive workloads like HIPAA workloads, PCI workloads, AWS handles all of the underlying physical access control security, and you don't need to worry about that anymore. In addition to the security and scalability and elasticity of AWS, the AWS global network is reliable. So again, redundancy is built into their infrastructure. If something goes down, if a system fails, you don't have to worry about replacing that system or replacing a hard drive or anything like that. AWS handles that for you. And as a result, they pass that reliability on you. So when we talk about their global footprint, AWS truly is global. They are across 6 continents in the world. And AWS defines a particular location as a region, a geographic region. So today there are 22 geographic regions across the world, with 4 on the way. And within these regions are clusters of data centers called availability zones. Each region has a minimum of at least 2 availability zones. And within each availability zone is 1 or more data centers. So what's important to understand is that each availability zone within a region is far enough away from the other availability zones so that in the event that there's a major disaster or a major failure, it won't impact the others. Because each AZ has its own independent power, independent cooling, physical security, and these AZs are connected via very, very fast, low latency, high bandwidth links. So you can see immediately that you can start to benefit from AWS's global infrastructure as soon as you start using their platform and building on it. So On the topic of building out your infrastructure, one of the most important things to account for, whether you are maybe just starting out today or you're looking to build out your AWS environment to something much larger, is that the foundation of what you build on is going to be key to your success. Now, depending on your business needs, business requirements, you may be able to use one AWS account to satisfy all of your business needs. But if you're looking for much more granular control, much more in terms of security and governance and compliance, you may benefit from a multi-account architecture where you spin up groups of accounts separated by organizational units for isolation. So maybe you've got administrative isolation between AWS accounts, or maybe you're breaking out workloads. For example, production workloads in one account, development workloads in another account. And one of the best benefits of having a multi-account architecture is the ability to control blast radius. So if I'm doing something in a development account and it gets out of hand, I know that it won't affect my production workloads. So there are some true inherent benefits to using more than one AWS account, but again, it depends on your business needs. I want to touch on security too, because I think this is really important as it relates to the cloud. We hear a lot about public cloud being inherently insecure, which is just not true. So AWS really defines what it means to be secure in the cloud and whose responsibility is for each piece of the stack. So for example, AWS, they are responsible for the global infrastructure that we talked about earlier. So they're responsible for the data centers. They're responsible for the hardware in the data centers, the controls around accessing those data centers, all of the networking that connects all of the regions and availability zones together. AWS handles all of that for you. You don't have to worry about that. But everything else above that, you are responsible for as the customer. So things such as operating systems and patching, vulnerabilities in your applications, providing user access to your applications, providing access to your AWS accounts, the data that resides on your infrastructure or environments that you're running in AWS. You are responsible for those as the customer. So having that in mind, you can build your applications securely knowing who's responsible for what. So now that we understand the fundamentals around security and building out account architectures and the AWS global infrastructure, businesses may be looking for a way to start to explore migrating to the cloud. And I think it goes without saying, but moving your workloads into a public cloud provider requires a lot of change. So not only does it require potential change to your systems, but it requires changes to your organizational processes. And AWS has developed a system called the Cloud Adoption Framework, which really helps guide businesses along that cloud journey. AWS really does a good job of breaking apart businesses into 6 key focus areas. And they call these perspectives. So those areas are business, people, governance, platform, security, and operations. So this really helps businesses map that journey to the cloud, so they can look at their current state, look at where they want to be, their target state, and help them along that transition to reach the target state. And what this really does is it helps to close up gaps and help businesses to attain key buy-in from key stakeholders within the business, make sure that everybody's on the same page when they're ready to finally move to the cloud. So what did we talk about today? Just in summary, we talked about AWS's global infrastructure spread all across the world, very easy to spin up applications anywhere in the world at any point in time. We talked about account architecture, how it's very important to as a key fundamental piece of any environment you spin up into AWS. We talked about the shared security model, who's responsible for what as it relates to security. And lastly, we talked about the cloud adoption framework for those businesses that are looking to start that cloud journey. So, with these things in mind, we understand that it's, not necessarily an easy journey, and that's what Eagle Dream is here to help with. So we help businesses of all different sizes across all different types of verticals navigate the journey to the cloud. So if you're looking to just start with AWS, we help provide AWS 101 sessions to get people familiar with the services similar to this. If you already have workloads in AWS, we are an AWS well-architected partner, which means that we can analyze those workloads for you and identify the strengths and weaknesses of those workloads as it relates to AWS's well-architected principles. And we can also provide TCO and cost analysis reports for you if you're trying to understand what it might cost to go to the cloud. And lastly, for those that are operating in AWS today, or even those that are starting to scratch the surface, we provide AWS immersion days, which are hands-on experiences with labs and instructional lectures, where we take a full day to dive into any topic that you want to talk about with AWS. So we at Eagle Dream, we're here to help, and we want to be there as part of your cloud journey. So check us out at eagledream.com. Give us a call or shoot us an email, info@eagledream.com, and we'll be there to answer your questions and help you out. So I hope this was beneficial, and I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you very much, and have a great day.